Hi, my name is Wes Mayhew. I'm the bass trombonist with the U.S. Coast Guard Band. Today I'm going to be talking to you about controlled breathing. What is controlled breathing? Well, right now what I'm doing is what would be considered a conversational breath. Just when you're talking one-on-one with somebody. You're not really thinking too much about your breathing. It just sort of happens. Controlled breathing, though, is something we actually have to think about. As musicians, the music usually dictates how do we breathe. And so let's say you're playing a slow, soft piece. We have to know that how the breathing is, how we're going to start this piece off. And it would probably be something like this. If we're going to play something loud and fast, it's probably going to be something like this. So this is what I mean by controlled breathing. You're actually having to think a little more about your breathing. You're having to think about the speed and volume of the inhale and the speed and volume of the exhale. How do we practice controlled breathing? It's a very important part of a warm-up, and there's one exercise it's a very simple exercise, but it's one that I use in my own practice time. I use it with my students all the time. It's basically called the hissing exercise. And the way the hissing exercise works is you're going to breathe in for a certain number of counts, and you're going to exhale for a certain number of counts, and the exhale is going to be a hiss. And what this does is you're using your abdominal muscle, your diaphragm, you're using it in a controlled fashion. You're controlling the contractions of the diaphragm, and you're controlling the speed of the air using the diaphragm. And so it's a great exercise to get your mind wrapped around controlled breathing and really start to think about your breathing. And so here's how, let's practice this exercise. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with, we're going to breathe in for 4 counts, and we're going to hiss for 8 counts. I'm going to turn a metronome on. This is 72 beats a minute. You can adjust this tempo depending on what you're working on. So here we go. I'm going to breathe in for 4 counts, and we're going to hiss for 8. 1, 2, ready, breathe in. Did you have some air left? I had air left. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make it harder. For time's sake, we're going to jump to a much harder one. We're going to breathe in for 1 count, and we're going to hiss out for 24 counts. All right, here we go. Turn the metronome back on. So in for 1, out for 24. 1, 2, ready, and go. So, did you have air left? I still had some air left. So this is a great exercise. It's very simple. I use it in my warm-up every day. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the next couple of videos. Thanks.
Hi everybody, my name is Vince Yanovitch. I am a trombonist in the United States Coast Guard Band. I've been in the band for almost 30 years, which makes me currently the longest serving band member, which pretty much just means that I'm old. And I'm here to talk to you today about playing with a good sound and how we can work on that in our warm-ups. So no matter what instrument you play, whether it's a trombone, whether you're a singer, no matter what instrument it is, it's important to remember to always play with the best and most consistent sound quality as possible. Whether you're playing loud or soft, high or low, playing really fast or really slow, it's important to always be asking yourself, what kind of sound am I making right now? So first I have a few warm-ups that can help us. One thing is you can take the mouthpiece and just play some buzzing exercises. So as you know, we can't make a sound on a brass instrument unless we can get our lips to buzz through the mouthpiece. So you can play scales, you can play arpeggios, you can actually play the other warm-up exercises that you have, you can try that on your mouthpiece also, and that helps to free things up initially. So. So what we're listening for here is for a nice complete buzz sound, not just part of the lip buzzing or you're hearing a lot of air, but just a clean buzzing sound. The other exercise I want to share with you is a simple one that has very few notes involved, but gets us concentrating on playing with a consistently good sound and helping us to warm up. So I'll just play it first. The metronome on there. So I have the metronome set at 50. So what I'm doing here is listening to my sound as I go from very soft to louder, then to very loud, and then come back to a little softer, and then finally a long note where you die away to nothing. When I just played it, I couldn't play as loud as I would normally do it because the microphone would distort. So when you do it, you want to get up to where the volume is really strong. And as we get louder, you want to stay relaxed and not apply too much extra pressure on the mouthpiece, but stay nice and free, keeping the air moving steadily and not wobbly like you heard some of me just do. But we want to play as we get softer too. We want to make sure we keep a nice, warm, beautiful sound and not where it gets too thin. And you'd continue this exercise all over the range of your instrument. So you play high notes with it, you play lower notes, really listening to the sound and try to match it on that note. And also so the sound matches for when you're playing high. So it's a similar sound when you're playing the low notes too. So I hope that's helpful for getting you thinking about your sound as you warm up.
Hello, welcome to our trombone warm-up session. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Karna Millen and I play trombone with the United States Coast Guard Band. And I'm going to talk a little bit about flexibility. But before I dive in too much to that, I just wanted to say that I'm glad that you're here thinking about how to do a warm-up, because it's very important. It's very important to warm up, and we're here to give you some ideas and help you think through your own warm-up routine, because everybody's looks just a little bit different. You tweak it to what you need it to do and what you want it to do. Just like you'd never show up at a soccer game without having stretched or gone to a practice, we would never show up to a concert without doing our warm-ups to help us individually practice, to then go to rehearsal, to finally just show up and play the concert. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. So I like to start out with my mouthpiece. And you might think, what does flexibility have to do with the mouthpiece? Well, everything, in fact. Because really, yes, you play the trombone, but first and foremost, you play the mouthpiece, and your trombone just amplifies what you're doing on the mouthpiece. So you might just start with really small increments, like a step. Try and see how smoothly you can go in between each of those notes, just using your air. You don't have to worry about anything else. That's another reason that I love thinking about flexibility when I'm doing warm-ups, is because you can't cheat. You have to use your air right. And I know that you're hearing one of the other guys talk about air, so I won't dive too much into that. Once you get that a little smoother, just that little interval, you can do bigger intervals. See if you can get it kind of smooth, going back and forth. I had a teacher once that called these vacuum cleaner exercises because they sound kind of like a vacuum cleaner. Then you finally take it onto the horn and just start slow, start small. Maybe go from a B flat to an F, back down to a B flat. Right, and see how smooth you can make that. As you get more and more comfortable, you can get faster and faster. You can practice different intervals too. But you only are able to do that if you're warming up your muscles, stretching them out, and using your air. And I like to do all of these in all 7 positions and then back up. And you can make variations on what you do as well. Maybe start on different notes and play different intervals, and just have fun with it and see what you can do, and do it every day. And that's how you get better. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Hello, this is Chief Musician Sean Nelson, and I'm here to talk to you about scales. I remember my teacher telling me that there are no hard scales, there are only unfamiliar scales. They're all just a series of notes in a row, and they're all going to be played basically the same way. So the goal is eventually to memorize all 12 major scales. It's nothing to be intimidated about. If you take enough time, you'll memorize it. So think about maybe you do the same scale every day for, 5 minutes. And you do that for several weeks. After a few weeks, I think you would be surprised how quickly you would memorize it. So the scales are your building blocks of music. So much of music is based on basically a major scale or a minor scale or some variation of that. So when you practice your scales, you're in essence practicing a lot of music at the same time. So one good way to practice a scale is you can play it with no tongue. I think this is a great way to start your warm-up. So I'm going to play a descending scale going down. I'll just keep going down by half steps, and I'm not going to use my tongue because I just want to concentrate on a nice round sound, and then I give my lips a chance to kind of relax and get warmed up. So then once you get warmed up and you're ready to play some high notes, as a way to practice your high range, you can do the opposite. You can do a scale going up and still without tongue, and I think it's a great way to concentrate on your sound and getting your lips kind of relaxed and without tension. You don't want to tighten up your lips. You just concentrate on blowing air through the horn. So when it comes to maybe learning new scale, I think a great way to do it is in half notes at quarter equals 80. And you can work on your sound, your tone. So if you think about when you're playing your long tones, that's going to be the best sound that you're capable of producing. But a lot of times when we play music, we kind of lose that tone. So think about when you play a scale, it is a snapshot of your best long tone. There, I was playing it. I was not playing it legato. I was playing it sort of a marcato articulation. It was a clear front of the note, da da, like that. So now you can also, of course, practice it legato, do do do, going for a clean connection between the note without a bump. Another way to do it is to practice it in thirds. So when you go up the scale, you skip a note, and then you go down a note, and then you skip a note, and you go down a note. So that was in thirds. So that it was D flat, and I skipped E flat and went up to F, and then I went down to E flat. So that's scale in thirds. And of course, there's arpeggios, which is 1, 3, 5, 1. If you count up your notes of the scale, we're going up D flat. So D flat, E flat is 2, F is 3, G flat is 4, and A flat is 5. And you go all the way up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you do that any scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your arpeggio, D flat, F, A flat. So that was half notes at quarter equals 80, and I was playing it with a sort of a marcato articulation, which was a clear attack. You can play it legato. You can play it in quarter notes. You can, what did I miss? You can play it with no tongue. So there's all kinds of combinations, and you can create your own scale warm-up. And think about maybe spending a lot of time on one scale for several weeks. Anyways, thanks for watching, and remember that I hope you're practicing. I hope you're having fun with it. And remember, even if you're just playing is better than not playing.